What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now this week, I'm not really going to get into like politics or anything like that. There's a lot of channels covering that. You know, all the shootings and crap that's going on between Antifa and BLM. It's just gotten crazy. Everybody knows it. So I'm not going to talk much about that. Instead, there's a couple other things I want to talk about. I'm going to give you a short review on Bill and Ted Face the Music, the third one in the series. But first, I'm going to give you an update with my situation. For those who have been watching the channel since the beginning, I've been letting people know what's been going on in my life. Basically, back in 2018, I was diagnosed with a heart condition called enlarged cardiomyopathy, which is, you know, it could either be the heart's not taking in as much blood as it needs to, or it's not pumping out the blood it needs to. Mine's the latter. It's only pumping out about 15% of what it should be pumping out. Cardiomyopathy is usually a common case, but there are rare circumstances where the medicine that they give you for it doesn't, you know, fix the problem. It's not like, you know, you can go get surgery and the heart's fixed and everything's hunky-dory. You make a full recovery. It doesn't happen like that. This is basically a heart disease. In my case, basically the medicine is just keeping it from getting worse. It's not making it better, but it's not getting worse either, as long as I keep taking the medicine. My doctors told me I couldn't work anymore. I was doing hard labor. I'm not allowed to do any kind of work anymore. At least I'm not supposed to be. You know, no heavy lifting. Supposed to stay out of stressful situations or environments. That sort of thing. I'm supposed to relax, take it easy. I did file for my disability. Unfortunately, they've been dragging it out for 2 years now, or plus. You know, it's I won't hear anything till the end of this year, beginning of next year. You know, that I don't know how it is in other states, but I live in the state of Missouri, and the Social Security Administration, or the office here, they suck. They're terrible. They will do everything they can not to give you the benefits that you've earned for working all your life. But they continually drag it out because they're hoping that you'll just give up and go back to work, and they don't have to give you any money. I had a good chunk of change saved up in the bank. It's pretty much all gone now. And I told my attorney and my doctors, hey, I've got to have some kind of income. You know, I don't have anyone to rely on or anything. Not really, anyway. No family or friends that could really help me out all that much. My brother's kind of helping me, but other than that, that's it. So they basically don't like the idea of me working, but they understand the situation. And my attorney said as long as I keep it under 20 hours a week, to go ahead, because they understand the situation too, until I get my disability. So that's where I'm at with that. I thought it kind of funny that you know, when all this happened, when all this went down, I had a girlfriend who I'd been with for like 7 years. But then when all this went down, you know, at first she was all like, you know, supportive and everything, you know. What money I had in the bank, I was using it to pay bills and everything. So we were good for a while, but she knew I'd not have the kind of money we had at the beginning of our relationship. I was making decent money at the job I was at. She didn't have a whole lot. She moved in with me, and then, you know, we ended up getting a house together, a nice house. All my stuff came with us, but as the years went on, every time she'd get her income tax, she'd get rid of something of mine and replace it with something new. She wanted new stuff. She all the time wanted new stuff. So all my stuff pretty much got thrown out. I should have known better, but anyways, doesn't matter. I'm basically having to start all over again from scratch, which is nothing new. I've had to do it before. It just sucks. Really sucks after you accumulate all that stuff. You know, have a nice house and everything. I had to move out of that house and everything, so it sucks. But all her family live in Pennsylvania. Her oldest daughter just had a baby, so she wanted to go play grandma and live with her daughter so she can be a grandma and babysitter at the same time. And we went our separate ways. She did try to break it off by texting me, though, after 7 years. I was just like, oh, that's ridiculous. But whatever. It's been about 3 months now or so. So I'm newly single again. Now, I met her online. I figured I tried the online thing because obviously it does work. It can happen. You know, turn into a long-term relationship. Just sucks when it's, you know, time to move on. So I'm trying it again. We'll see where it goes. I haven't found any really good sites. They all suck. So, you know, I don't go to church, and I don't go to like the bars and stuff. You know, I just go to work and I come home. That's pretty much my life. It's pretty boring. Let's get on to your reviews now that you're all caught up with my life. Even to that was a brief summary for even the new viewers. Okay, I promised some of you that on Twitter that I would review the new Bill and Ted this week. I just watched it a few days ago. Before I go explaining about this movie, know that you're probably going to hear some spoilers and stuff if you haven't seen it. A lot of people were claiming that this was going to be a woke movie, and even though it wasn't politically motivated, there were some woke scenes in the movie. It wasn't entirely woke, but there were a few woke scenes in the movie. So I'm warning you of that right now. Ed Solomon, the writer of this movie, he tried to lie and say that there was nothing woke about it, and he's full of shit. First things first, you know, him changing Little Bill and Little Ted at the end of the second one. He confirmed that they were boys, and then over time they decided to change them to girls. And here's the reason why. He literally states in an interview, you can go look it up online and find it. He literally states in an interview that boys are boring. That there are plenty of boy buddy movies out there, and they didn't want to do boring boys. So they changed Little Bill and Little Ted to Little Billy and Little Thea. That's the daughters' names. Okay, that's still, to me, that's a little woke to me, the way he states it. So there's that much. The second thing was, there is a woke scene in here where, if you remember the Future Council from the first two movies, I think there were 3 members. If I remember right, there was 3 of them. The main one was a big black dude, and I think there was a woman and another guy. I can't remember. It was 2 women. I can't remember exactly. But in this one, there's like 7 of them, and they're all female. Well, wait, there might have been 1 guy, but the rest of them were all females. And I'm like, what the hell? I just don't buy that. I'm sorry, that's a little too woke, you know. Let's just put all women on the council. It's dumb. But anyways, that's one of the other woke scenes. There's a couple more in here. The whole doing the couples therapy thing was pretty much a woke thing too. But anyways, there are going to be some spoilers because I'm about to lay out why this movie was bad. Besides all any woke or political crap, that's not why this movie was bad. The story was terrible. First of all, Bill and Ted, or Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves, I mean, they just look old as shit in this movie. I mean, they look really, really old. So that was really going bad for them because they were still trying to act like their old characters, which I get, but at the same time, it kind of hurt them in the long run because it just didn't feel like Bill and Ted. It really did. It felt forced. The actresses who play their daughters, Billy and Thea, they were trying way too hard to act like the original Bill and Ted. I mean, way too. You especially see this in Little Billy. Way too hard. And then they were going, dude, 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 all the time. And it was just annoying. It was, I'm sorry, I don't know of any chicks that are constantly calling people dudes all the time. Maybe once in a while, but not all the time. And that they were doing that constantly. There's a part of the movie where the girls are talking to Kid Cudi or whatever his name is. It's just ridiculous because they make Kid Cudi out like he's this super genius, you know, knows everything about space and time and quantum physics and crap. And he's talking to him, and Bill and Ted's like, what? And then all of a sudden the girls are like super intelligent, you know, they know everything about quantum physics and space and time and all that crap, and they're just going on and having this intellectual conversation with Kid Cudi like they're scientists or some shit. And it was the dumbest, cringiest thing. It wasn't funny at all. It was dumb because they literally earlier, you know, explain how dumb they are because all they do is listen to music all the time. That's all they do. These girls just listen to music all the time. They weren't good in high school, and now they just listen to music all the time because their dads were the Wild Stallions. Yeah. Anyways, I thought that whole thing was dumb. The movie basically does two stories. One is you're following Bill and Ted around, and they're basically trying to steal the song that they got to have in like 3 hours. So the future council told them they got to have it like in 3 hours. So they decide that they're going to go in the future and steal it from their future selves. Instead, what they end up doing is they find out that their wives have left them because their future wives came back and took their present wives into the future, and they couldn't find a reality where Bill and Ted was. They wanted to stay with them. So now they're constantly going into the future trying to get the song. Steal the song from future Bill and Ted, and try to fix things, figure out what went wrong so they could stop it from happening in the present with their future wives, so they don't lose them. It was just crazy. And then the second part of the story is the girls. You're basically doing a story with the daughters. The daughters want to help their dads once they find out from Rufus's daughter that everything's getting screwed up because they haven't written the song yet. If they don't write the song at a certain place and certain time, then all time and space basically are going to fold in on itself. So the girls decide that they're going to take another time machine and go through time into the past and grab certain musicians to form a band for their dads. Now this all wraps up with the song towards the end that's supposed to save everything. The problem is that the song was so horrendous. It was terrible. It was bad. They picked some really cheesy characters to play the past musicians, and you'll see what I mean if you ever watch it. God forbid, sorry, but anyways, I would have rather stuck with the Kiss song at the end of Bill and Ted Bogus Journey than this piece of shit garbage song. It's just horrible. It's a terrible song. It was, and their idea of saving the world is to give everybody instruments and make them play the song themselves. I kid you not. I can't make this shit up. It's so dumb. It's really bad movie. It was just bad all around. I don't know what they were thinking when they decided to do this one, but they probably should have left shit alone, in my opinion, because they really screwed this up. Unless they were going to have an actual deal where, the sons actually go back in time and save everything, but they didn't do it that way. The whole thing with the death breaking up with the band and all that shit, that was all dumb too. It was terrible. Terrible story. I stick with the first two. Don't watch this one. I definitely do not recommend it. 2 thumbs down. The new Bill and Ted was just absolutely terrible. Terrible. Take my word for it. I'm telling you right now, it was a bad movie. Alright, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, movie holics, let's get on to your B-rated movie reviews. This week is Sci-Fi Week. Now we got a couple of older sci-fi movies from the 70s. The first one is called Ravagers. It was done in 1979, and it starred Richard Harris and Ann Turkel. Basically, it's a post-apocalyptic movie. Now they got the date wrong. They said it, 1991. The world is basically dead. That's the subtitle or whatever. But for the movie poster. But anyways, pretty much what goes down is you have Richard Harris. He's with this woman. Apparently they've been traveling together for a while, and they've been trying to stay ahead of a group called Ravagers. It's kind of like a gang or whatever, that basically kill people and steal their shit. Well, the Ravagers finally catch up to him. They rape his woman, kill her. They nearly kill him. He sneaks into their camp late at night, and he kills one of them that raped her, and then takes off. Now, the one he kills has some significance to the leader of the gang. I don't know if it's his brother or a lover or something. I don't know. But he goes crazy. He decides he's going to kill this guy no matter what. So he sends the gang after this guy. They're trying to track him down. Richard Harris basically runs across an old army vet or some shit who calls himself a sergeant. Eventually the sergeant guy, he gets confused, starts calling him Major, and starts following him around. Eventually shows him a place where there's a lot of people still left hiding out in this area. So he goes there, and he basically just goes there to get laid, pretty much, because he tells him there's women there. He finds this woman, and she eventually decides to tag along and follow the sergeant and him on their adventure. They end up finding another group that's hiding out on a big ship, an old derelict ship. And the people start hearing about this place called Genesis, which his old fling, his old woman, ex-girlfriend that they killed, the gang killed, they were she would all reminisce about this place on a beach, which they would call Genesis, which she called Genesis. Well, the girlfriend he has now, she hears him talk about this in his sleep, this Genesis place, so she assumes it's a real place and spreads rumors around the ship that there's a place, like a paradise place or whatever. Well, anyways, the gang catches up to him where he's on this ship, and they infiltrate the ship and kill everybody on it, or well, kill most of the people on it. The ship blows up, and he ends up getting most of the gang members. They all end up getting killed too. But a few of the people on the ship, they turn to him as their new leader and ask him to take them to Genesis, and that's literally the end of the movie. It just shows them walking off. I thought there was going to be a little more action in this movie, but it was actually really slow. It was an interesting story. It's just not for everybody because it was pretty slow. There's just a couple action scenes. The rest of it's really slow. If you're not a hardcore sci-fi fan, then especially post-apocalyptic worlds, you're probably not really going to like this too much. For me, it was kind of interesting, and even though I don't think it was the greatest, it was okay. It was all right for the most part. Not really any special effects, really. You know, I give it a 2. You know, a few explosions, that kind of stuff, but nothing really. Did it feel like a post-apocalyptic world? Yeah, a little bit, but you could tell it was all done in a kind of like a stone quarry or some crap like that. So it was all right. It was decent for what they were trying to do. So I give the special effects a 2 because they tried. You know, it moved the story along. Acting, the acting was decent. I give it a solid 3. You got some fairly decent actors in it. You might even recognize a few of them. The story, it's just basically, you know, he gets revenge for them killing his old lady, and then they try to get revenge on him. So, you know, typical story. I give it a 3. I mean, it was decent. It was okay for a story, but and overall, unless you're a hardcore sci-fi fan, like I said, I would give it a 3, but most people probably give it a 2 because it was kind of slow in a lot of places. So yeah, that's it on that one. A 3 overall for me, 2 for probably most everybody else. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It was alright. It was decent. The next movie we're going to talk about is called The Ultimate Warrior, and it was done in 1975. It starred Yul Brynner, Max von Sydow, and Joanna Miles. Now, this movie actually did fairly decent. The first one didn't have a box office number, but this one, they made about $9 million off this one, so that wasn't really too shabby for back then. I'm kind of surprised, because after watching the movie, I didn't think it would have done that great. Oh, you're going to have to excuse the sirens. Alright. Anyways, this movie, like I said, it made about $9 million, so that's not too shabby for back then. Basically, you got 2 rival gangs in New York City is what it basically is. And then you got what's called the street people, the crazies, running out on the streets. One group is led by this Max von Sydow. He's called the Baron. And the other group is pretty much like thug-like people, which like a gang, and it's run by a guy named Carrot Top, or I think they just called him Carrot, not Carrot Top. Sorry, they call him Carrot. One day the Baron sees this guy just standing over by the library for like a couple of days. Didn't make no sense, so he goes over there to talk to him, and he's hoping he's a fighter because he thinks he needs more fighters in his group. So, which is Yul Brynner. He makes an offer to him, offers him a bunch of stuff if he comes and stays with them and fights for him. Yul Brynner does eventually go to their place, their compound, the Baron's place. He doesn't right off the bat, but he does eventually go. And he is a fighter. He ends up helping kill several of them that try to attack him. Anyway, the Baron and this Carrot guy or whatever, Carrot keeps trying to invade the area that the Baron and his people are at. So Carrot does get in there, eventually destroy a bunch of the Baron stuff. The Baron and his people had like some plants growing, and Carrot gets in there and steals a bunch of the food, and end up breaking a bunch of stuff or whatever. But they stop him. The Baron and his people stop him with the Ultimate Warrior. Now, they kill the scientist who was making these seeds from these plants. Apparently, the Baron had this guy who was a scientist who could make seeds from these plants to where they didn't die from the plague and everything, because apparently a lot of plants could not survive the plague or the destruction that happened to the world. So he developed some seeds from these plants to where you know, they would survive, you know, they would grow and thrive. The Baron took these seeds and gave them to the Ultimate Warrior, and the Baron's daughter, who was pregnant at the time. He wanted the Ultimate Warrior to take his daughter, his pregnant daughter, and the seeds to this island that the Ultimate Warrior was talking about, that he was supposedly from, that he hadn't gone back there yet since the destruction of the world. That's where he was eventually headed when the Baron offered him a place to stay. So the Baron shows him some plans of an underground tunnel subway system that would take them to where they need to go outside the city so they can get to this island where he could plant the trees or the seeds and grow food. But he was only supposed to take the Baron's daughter, pregnant daughter, with him, and that he might have to help her give birth along the way. He gets them out underground, and then his group, the people that's with the Baron, they think something's going on. They don't know what it is, but they don't like it, so they kill the Baron and turn on him and turn on each other. One of them runs to Carrot's group and tells them what's going on. So Carrot decides he's going to take a few men and go chase after the Ultimate Warrior and the Baron's daughter underground. The Ultimate Warrior starts killing them off one by one as they're going through the underground subway system, and they come to a point where the woman has to have the baby. So he delivers the baby, and then the rest of the gang show up. He fights most of them off. Excuse me. And then him and Carrot have it out. They have this big fight scene at the end. Carrot has this rope with a ball, like a steel ball on the end of it, that he's swinging around to try to fight the Ultimate Warrior. Well, it ends up wrapping around the Ultimate Warrior's wrist, and Carrot falls into the shaft, and the Ultimate Warrior, he's hanging off the Ultimate Warrior's arm, The Ultimate Warrior can't get it off, so basically he ends up having to chop off his own hand at the wrist, and Carrot falls to his death. Uh, he basically burns his wrist, the stub, and then he grabs the Baron's daughter, and they walk out of the tunnel system onto this beach, and that's literally the end of the movie. It was actually a pretty decent movie. It had several fight scenes in it. Wasn't too bad. My biggest thing was that Yul Brynner did not, I don't know, he didn't come off real menacing in this movie. He just didn't look like a big badass fighter, you know what I'm saying? He didn't fit the part very well, as far as I'm concerned. It was still a good movie regardless of that. The acting was pretty good and everything. The special effects, you know, makeup wise or whatever, you know, maybe I don't think there was really any explosions in this, but you had a few scenes that, you know, they were trying to make look bloody or whatever, and you could tell it was definitely fake blood. So I definitely give the special effects a 2, because they tried, but it wasn't all that great. The acting was really good, to be honest. The acting was really good. I definitely give it a solid 4 on the acting. Not bad. As far as the story, I've seen something similar before, so it wasn't really a completely, totally new story. I give it a 3 though, because it was a decent story. I've just seen something similar. Overall, the movie, it was actually a decent movie. I definitely give this a solid 3. Not quite a 4. Wasn't that great, but it was pretty good. Definitely decent watch, you know, if you're looking for a sci-fi action flick, post-apocalyptic. It wasn't too bad. You know, you definitely tell, you know, you had some abandoned buildings in it. So, like I said, you could tell it was post-apocalyptic, but it wasn't that bad, honestly. Check it out; it's decent. I actually give it 2 thumbs up. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good. Well, that's all I have for you this week. Tune in next week. And I'll have a couple more for you to review. As I've always stated before in my videos, if you have anything you want to comment on from what I talked about earlier, leave your comments down below in the comment section. Suggestions, if you have any suggestions of like some older type movies, maybe some gems I might have missed or never seen, leave your suggestions down in the comment sections down below, and I'll get around to them as soon as I can. Like I said, that's all I have for you this week. Until next time, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you've just been told.